The reason that we're here today is because these rifles that everybody loves are basically being discontinued. True with Guns America today, I'm with Glen Seekins of Seekins Precision, and we are here at the factory. This is their war room or their R&D room. Yep. It's where they it's literally right off of Glen's office. I'll show you his office, or maybe he'll let us. But it's right here where he can come in and tinker and design stuff. And if you don't know anything about Seekins Precision, I just want to quickly give you the rundown. I've known Glen for a really long time. We've been shooting together for
20 years.
Yeah, long time. Competition, and he started out making very precision scope rings. In fact, their facility, Seekins Precision, has been known for the tolerances they can hold and handle, substantially higher than the rest of the industry. And they got into ARs and built some of the best ARs in the world. Some of the top tier military groups around the world use their stuff, competitive shooters, like really high-end ARs. And then a few years back, Glen decided to start making bolt guns, and they came out with the Havoc and the PH, the professional hunter model of Seekins bolt action rifle. And in just the last few years, they have shot to the top of the rifle chain. They've basically been making a custom rifle, custom bolt action rifle, but sort of a production custom bolt action rifle, if that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah, production rifle, but with, custom tolerance.
So to put this in perspective, Seekins has been one of the top rifles in shields, like one of the top performing, certainly in the higher end tier, like the best thing in there. And they're phenomenal. They have an accuracy guarantee, they have a lifetime guarantee. But before I lose your interest, the reason that we're here today is because these rifles that everybody loves are basically being discontinued. They're discontinuing the entire line of rifles that they've been making and that have been so popular. And the reason they're doing that is because Glen has decided to make them better. And we're going to walk you through what they've done. First thing I want you to know, and then I'm going to have Glen take over and start talking, and I know you're not watching this to hear me, but they've basically redesigned this rifle to work with modern high-pressure SAMI-spec cartridges like, for example, the SIG 277 Fury. Meaning this action is designed from the ground up, engineered to handle higher pressures. Correct. And we all know that this is coming. Like, we're going to start seeing more of these cartridges, higher pressure stuff. So speak to that for just a second, Glen.
So, I feel like the higher pressure stuff, that's where the industry is going to go. Everybody's chasing performance, and we've kind of tapped out the velocities and the performance with the bullets that we're going to get with the modern cartridge.
Everybody wants a shorter barrel so they can put a suppressor on it, and yet they don't want to lose the velocity.
Correct. They want shorter, they want lighter, they want the same velocity or better. Really, the only way to change that is to start changing the ammo and bumping the pressure up.
Okay, so first thing that we need to talk about here is the major changes to the action, and we're going to actually tear an action all the way down. Yep. I mean, guys, you cannot believe the ingenuity here. This is going to blow your minds as far as what they've done here. So the old action was a 90-degree bolt throw.
Correct. And
the new action is a
60.
60. So that is a huge difference, guys. It means that you're no longer going to come all the way up here and hit a scope. You're not going to rack your knuckles. It's a much shorter throw. They've just redesigned this action to be smoother. So to speak to this, how you did this, how much smoother it is, how much easier it is to work the bolt on this.
So the bigger reasons why 60 degree hasn't necessarily been as popular is the bolt lift. So when you pull the trigger and you're going to lift the bolt up, you have to cock the firing pin in you have to cock the firing pin in 60 degrees instead of 90. So what we have done is redesigned the firing pin assembly and put a bushing inside of it that helps with this bolt lift. And I'll tear a bolt apart in a minute. The other thing that we did with this action in order to exceed the needs for the higher pressure ammo is the bolt lug engagement. So with a 3-lug bolt, we can get much more engagement than we could with our older style 4-lug. And this one actually has more engagement than a bigger 2-lug action that you're used to. So bolt lug engagement, bolt width or length. And then our bolts are designed with a removable bolt head. So we can use some exotic materials on the bolt head and some exotic materials inside the action assembly for the breech plug.
Okay, so before we get any further into the bolt though, I want to talk a little bit more about the other changes to the gun. So right now you've had current production, you've had the PH2, which has been super popular. It's a steel action in this, in a carbon fiber, and it's been a, you guys have had to glass bed every one of those.
Yeah, we've bed every single one of our actions. The PH2 was a round action. So
much like a Remington 700.
Just like a Remington 700, and we've went away from that. So we made the Element. We've had that for quite a while, and the Hit rifle. They're flat-bottomed actions, and we've very successfully put them in chassis without bedding. So we've taken that same technology, and that's what's in the PH3.
Okay.
So it's a flat-bottomed action. It mates inside of a mini chassis inside this stock now. So it's not like a traditional bedding block where you have a couple little pieces of metal glued in. This is an actual chassis inside the stock.
And we're going to show you more about that in a second. So before we get too far though, the thing that you need to understand is there's been these different models of like the PH2, the Element, the Hit, the Hit and the anyway, and they weren't really interchangeable between stocks.
Right.
Now they're all the same stock footprint.
Yeah, all the same inlets. So you can take your PH3 and put it into a Hit chassis.
So something like this full big chassis.
Yep. Or you can take your Hit rifle, change a barrel to a smaller one, put it in a PH3 chassis stock, or inside of our Hunter chassis.
So one of the other things here, if you know this, the Element, it's what I've hunted with for years, is an actual aluminum action. And because of that, you lose almost a pound over a steel action. I mean, it's really
close. Yeah.
Really, really light. It's very strong. I mean, they're running 300 PRCs and 28 muzzlers. Yeah. It's got steel inserts in it, but it just is a very smooth, light action. And so now all of this stuff is sort of interchangeable. All of these have the new 60-degree bolt throw. All these have the advantages of the higher pressure ability.
Right.
So let's start with, let's show these guys how the chassis works, and then let's go from there to a bolt and tear a bolt down. One of the really cool things here about this bolt is that you can completely tear it clear down to the firing pin in the field with no tools. Yep. And the other feature that you need to know about is that all of these now have the ability to be quick change barrels by the end user.
Correct. Yep, and I'll go over that too. So we'll talk about the bedding a little bit first.
Okay.
So we don't drive stuff in a Model T truck. Like, the Model T's been discontinued for a long time. So technology advances, and for some reason in the firearms industry, we've stayed with that Remington 700 inlet. Maybe it's because there's so many different options out there for it, but we want to change that. So with this new action, you've got more screw engagement down here. This is thicker, so when you torque your action screws, they actually stay torqued.
Okay.
A 700 inlet, this is very thin.
Yep.
And if it's not bedded correctly, you can bend the tang pretty easy on a 700.
Okay.
So, and then, like I said, you've got more screw engagement. So we can tighten these to 55 inch-pounds and they'll actually stay there. The other thing you can do is, when you machine something, you can machine something flat very easily. And you can make another piece that's flat very easily. So two flat surfaces mate together really well. Two round surfaces are never the same diameter. So you actually never get them to make full contact. So this is a part inside the stock. This is our mini chassis. And you can see how these two flat surfaces go together just like our regular chassis. They snap in, and it's a nice tight fit.
So really what this means to the end user is that there's no more bedding.
Right.
And guys, one of the disadvantages of bedding is that anytime you start taking your action out to clean it, switch things around, swap a barrel, swap a trigger, adjust something, you run the risk of cracking or damaging your bedding. So no longer is that an issue. You can swap this stuff in and out as many times as you want to, swap barrels, actions, if you want one that's steel versus one that's aluminum, you know, I mean, you're not going to risk any of that.
No, and there's a lot of guys that have a gun that shoots really good and they're afraid to touch it, right?
Yep.
So what we're designing is a gun that you can play with all you want. If you want to change a barrel and don't be afraid of it. You're going to pull it out of the stock, you can pull it out of the stock, you're not going to damage the bedding, you torque your action back in there,
Yep.
New barrel, you're ready to go.
Yep.
So you can configure these all you want. There's quite a few different custom gunsmiths that'll do drop-in. like, you know, Proof Research has drop-in barrels, GA Precision, R1 Precision. So if you say, hey, I want a barrel for this Seekins rifle, they can make you one.
Yep. And the tolerances are such that they can make it and it'll head space when you screw it in.
We guarantee head space.
So show them on this action how you would do the quick change barrel. So this is the PH2 action.
This is a PH3.
Or sorry, PH3
so
action.
PH3,
My bad.
PH3 and hit are the same. You've got a little screw right here. And you've got a little pad right here that touches the barrel threads. So all you do is you pull this out of your stock. On the PH3, you have to pull it out of stock because you can't unscrew the barrel down through the barrel channel anyways.
Because of the taper.
Yeah, it's tapered.
Yep.
So you pull it out, loosen this, take your barrel off, put your barrel back on, and you don't need 50 inch-pounds on your barrel. So all we do is we spin it on and snap it hand tight and tighten this clamp.
And that's it.
That's it. That's all you have to do.
No special tools.
Nope.
No barrel clamps.
Just a little Torx wrench and that's it.
Okay. So that's how easy it's going to be to change the barrel on one of these.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Caliber, barrel. And we'll talk about how you can change calibers as well.
Oh yeah. It's a lot like it was on the hit. You know, the hit has a little clamp up on top. It did have. The new one's going to have one on the bottom.
Okay. Okay.
So that kind of explains a little bit of the bedding.
Yeah, so show them the rest of the chassis here. So not only this is part of the chassis, but all of these now have M-LOK that runs all the way through the form because this is actually a mini chassis. So instead of having a carbon fiber stock that's all flimsy and that doesn't, that flexes when you attach a bipod or a tripod, you actually now have a metal chassis that runs all the way to the end of your stock.
So our chassis system is comprised of 3 different parts. You've got the bedding area, the bottom metal, and the M-LOK rail. They all tie together inside the stock. So when you put your front action screw in here, it's locking everything together.
Yep. So, and then the last part of the stock, so this is the basic stock that we're used to. And by the way, guys, I need to point out, you know, Seekins is not one of these companies that is a marketing company where they like go to one company and be like, hey, make us this, and we'll get a barrel from over here and we'll buy somebody else's action and will you guys laser engrave our name on it. Yep. Every single thing on these rifles except for the trigger is made and designed by Seekins Precision in-house, which is absolutely amazing. These guys are the real deal. They're not some company that's just putting parts together and telling you it's a custom rifle.
Correct. And we're a pretty small shop still. We don't have the capacity to offer the PH2 and the PH3. And to be honest, after you play with the PH3, you don't want a PH2 anyways.
I mean, as much as you guys love your rifles and I love mine, these are better.
Yep, they're smoother, more feature rich. Everybody likes a 60-degree throw. This 60-degree throw action has less bolt lift than a 90.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about price, but if you guys are freaking out thinking, wow, these changes are going to cost a lot, the truth is what?
It's exactly the same price as a PH2.
Okay, so all the benefits, all of the new features, the new higher pressure ability, you're going to be able to buy these in the new high pressure cartridges that are out there.
Yep.
They'll be chambered in those and it's going to cost you the same and maybe even less on some models.
On some model.
We'll talk about that in a minute too. Okay, so we've talked about the chassis, the M-LOK ability, all that stuff. Talk about this. This is new.
Yeah, so adjustable cheek piece. A lot of guys have been asking us, hey, what can we do to get an adjustable cheek piece on your rifle? So instead of offering a whole bunch of different ones, we're just going to offer one rifle, one style, and it's all adjustable. But in order to do that, you know, I don't like adjustable cheek pieces that have to have a tool to get it out. So here's a good scenario. I'm a hunter and I'm in the field and I need to get my bolt out of my gun because it just fell down in the dirt or whatever it is. Lift your bolt up. If you got a cheek piece that's up, it's not coming out. So instead of packing a tool with me in the field, you can use a stick, you can use a bullet tip, but you'll have a bunch of these.
Pocket knife, whatever.
Pocket knife. You can depress this button and adjust this up and down as you want. And it locks in nice and solid.
And it is like solid, guys. There's not even a bit of wiggle in this. I mean, It is as solid of a cheek piece as I've ever felt.
Yep. And we do have a little button. If you'd rather have an extension on it, you can screw a button on there, and then you just depress the button and move it freely.
Okay, so every single stock, whether you get a PH3, an element, it's going to come with an adjustable stock. Right. And if you need it longer, you could put shims in between the
Yeah, we do have. Another thing we've been asked about is length of pull system. So we do have spacers coming that fit our stocks. we'll have them available here pretty soon.
Okay, so the one downside to this, and you guys asked for it, so deal with it, is it does add a little bit of weight to the stock.
It does. So the adjustable cheek piece adds about 0.2 pounds, and then the M-LOK rail, all the bedding system and everything else, you're going to add about a half a pound to your rifle.
So, you know, for a 5.5 pound element, you know,
it's just going to be a little over 6.
Yep, you're jumping it up about a half a pound to have these features. So it's a good trade-off. It's actually amazing. So
yeah, it's super comfortable. It fits really nice. It adjusts really nice. You don't feel it, so it doesn't wiggle. So it works really good.
Okay. The other thing that's different that I have to point out is on the element and on the, you've changed the name. This used to be called the Slam.
Custom shop is a Slam rifle.
Okay, so it's still going to be available through the custom shop, but this one is going to be called the Element Hunter.
Correct.
And this rifle is the folding stock version, and this thing is still super duper light. It's adjustable cheek piece, folding stock, but these both feature a new carbon fiber barrel that's made in-house.
Correct. The Element and the Element Hunter have our new carbon fiber barrel.
So, also, I mean, we're not going to get into that, but carbon fiber barrel, all the barrels are Seekins barrels, you know, so that's the story there. So Glenn, let's have you go through this bolt and show how easy it is to completely tear it down, fix it, repair it, change the bolt head, whatever you'd want to do to this bolt.
Sure. So one feature that we added on this bolt is a little detent for your shroud. So when your bolt is out of the gun, you can't decock it. And what that means is the firing pin actually goes forward, and then you have to use your hands to cock your bolt manually.
So this shroud basically protects all that, keeps it clean.
Yeah, it keeps everything clean and contained, but this little detent right here keeps everything where it needs to be before you tear it apart.
Okay, so that's a cool feature.
Push the detent, rotate the shroud towards the bolt handle to another detent. You'll feel it when you rotate it.
Okay.
Shroud comes off.
Cool.
So the shroud comes off, and you've got your firing pin retainer, which is this part right here. One thing that's unique on ours is our firing pin retainer is not one little point that rides on a cam surface of the bolt. That's how most of the Remington 700 and clones are. This one has actually got 2 points that ride on the bolt, and they ride in helixes. So when I decock this, you can see that this helix ramp right here, that's what actually rides on the bolt body and the firing pin retainer. So this is one thing that makes it nice and smooth. So we're going to decock the firing pin retainer. So there's your position. We're going to decock it, pull on the bolt handle. The bolt handle is actually what retains everything inside. Then all you do is you just pull this out. There's your whole firing pin assembly. Bolt handle is removable. Remove this. Now you can change everything from this shaft length to the knob. All this is threaded.
Cool.
Standard threads, so whatever you want.
Okay.
So it comes off easy. You can clamp it in a vise and do whatever you want. And then the bolt head is retained by a pin. Only goes in one direction. So here's your pin. Pull your bolt head off. Wow. So that's how easy it is to take apart. You can probably do it in about 10 or 15 seconds if I'm not explaining it to you.
So look, guys, if you're in the field and let's say you dropped your rifle in a muddy river or something bad happened, you fall in and you got silt and sand and crud in there, you just need to get it cleaned out, dried out. That's how simple and easy it is. No tools, no presses, none of the proprietary stuff that you've needed traditionally to tear a bolt action bolt down. So this is huge. Then the other cool thing about this is let's say you're wanting to swap calibers. So let's say you want to go from a 6.5 PRC, which is a Magnum bolt face, to a 6.5 Creedmoor. You're going to tear it all down like this. You're just going to simply swap the bolt head to the other bolt head and put it all back together again, and you're good to go.
Correct. Yep. So we've changed a couple other things from the PH2. We've got dual ejectors on here. The ejectors are smaller, and that's to deal with brass swipe. So you'll get a little bit of flow from your brass into your ejector hole if you're running a little bit hotter cartridge, or even some of the brass is soft. So smaller ejectors, that'll help that. We went to a sliding extractor. This sliding extractor is actually quite a bit stronger than the M16 extractor that we had in the past. The industry used M16 extractors, but with testing, we've actually found that this extractor is significantly stronger. Okay,
so better extractor, small firing pin hole, smaller dual ejectors.
Right.
I mean, you're set up for the high pressure stuff.
We are. The other thing I want to note here is the chamber support. So SAMI has a spec for how far a case can protrude outside of the chamber.
So you're talking about, like, do we have a barrel out?
Sure. So I'm talking about how far the brass can extend out of the back here.
Okay.
With this bolt head design, we've shortened that significantly, so we're way below SAMI, about 120 thousandths instead of around 180 thousandths.
So to put this in normal person's terms, basically what you're doing is the barrel is actually supporting the barrel is actually supporting this brass further out. So there's more metal and support all the way around
Correct.
your cartridge than there has been previously.
Yeah, instead of the case hanging out this far, now the case is in all the way up to the extractor group.
And that required, you to change your chambering, your barrels, and your bolt head.
Correct.
Yeah, so there's just more support, and that's part of what you did when you went to this stronger setup for higher pressure cartridges.
Correct.
Okay, that's super cool. All right, appreciate you doing it. Hey, let's put this back together as fast as you can for them.
As fast as I can.
Fast as you can. Let's see you go. Let's see you go.
Am I getting timed?
No. But just so they get the idea that this is not some long drawn out, hard to do process. There you go. Complete bolt reassembly. That's crazy. That's awesome. So the element action is your aluminum action, and the barrel quick change system is a little different. It still fits in the same stocks. It's still
Correct.
got all the interchangeability stuff, but you had to do things different because it was aluminum.
We did. The aluminum action has a steel insert that's pressed inside of it.
Okay.
So if I put a clamp through there, then I'm pushing and pulling on that steel, and I'm going to change the amount of press that I have or take it away altogether.
Okay.
So instead of doing that, we came up with this collar. So this collar, you put it around your barrel and tighten it after you get it done, after you get the barrel on. So this collar just slips off and it pins right here.
Okay.
So basically you're going to swap your barrel. We just hand torque them like that.
Okay.
You can hear it snap together.
Yep.
That's it. Slide your collar on, put the peg in there and tighten it.
Just like 4 or 5 inch pounds, 6 inch pounds?
You get about 15 inch pounds right here.
So still not much. I mean,
No.
So like a scope ring is 25.
Right.
20,
15 to 25.
Yeah.
So you can do the same 15, 25.
Okay.
Wouldn't matter.
Okay, so that's that. So while we have this action now, you guys can see the trigger. All of these guns are coming with a Trigger Tech trigger?
Yep, they all come with a Trigger Tech. The blue gun over there comes with a diamond.
Okay.
That's our...
This is the Hunter NRL version of the PH3.
Yep, that's the...
And it comes with a better trigger because it's a competition gun.
Yep.
Okay.
It does. So the other thing that we did was all the actions have the same feature on the trigger. So trigger pins typically get pressed into the action.
Okay.
And then they're a slip fit on the trigger.
Okay.
That's just how everything's been. So instead of doing that, what we've done is it's a nice slip fit on the action and the trigger.
Okay.
And they can only go in one way
Okay.
and so far.
So it makes it way easier to service your trigger.
You can service your trigger or change it at home. You can pull your firing pin out
Okay.
and use it as a tool to just push your pins out. And you can change your
There you
trigger.
go. So you could tear this whole gun down in just a minute.
Yeah.
Trigger all the way out,
Set
barrel all the way
wrenches, you
off,
can do whatever you want.
everything. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no more hammers and punches at home trying to get your trigger out.
Okay.
No more taking it out of your bedding and ruining the bedding.
So one last thing I want to talk about is your, this is a long action. Let's talk about your magazines. So these guns come with your custom magazine in them.
They do.
And these things are so cool. They weigh nothing. They're a carbon fiber magazine. And tell me, you have the ability to remove a spacer in here?
We do. On our short actions, if you order a 6.5 Creedmoor, you get a smaller AI style footprint magazine, but these are brand new also.
Okay.
If you order a PRC, you get a little bit longer magazine to take advantage of the extra length for custom loading.
Okay.
So with the PRC, you won't have this spacer in there. And with a 6.5 Creedmoor or something like that, you will have that spacer If for some reason you want to run a different magazine for your 6.5 PRC, you can put that spacer in there and still run it.
Okay, so like you could use some other brand of magazine.
Any magazine you wanted.
Okay, and it'll fit in here.
Yeah.
Okay, but you would need this spacer in there to do it.
You need that spacer in there to make anybody else's magazine work.
Okay, got it. So if this was a 6.5 PRC, it would come without the spacer, and you wanted to switch it over to a 6.5 Creedmoor, you'd need the spacer. I got it. Okay. All right. So I think that pretty much covers the features. On the PH3 here, it is much more skeletonized than it used to be.
It is. It also has a 20 MOA integrated rail.
Oh, that's cool.
So no more screws, no more rails coming loose.
So it saves you money having to buy a rail. And there's a little bit more.
Little lightning pockets.
Little lightning pockets on there. I mean, these guns look really good. But guys, I can't tell you enough about how much better this bolt is. And if you look at this, like this is the trigger. Well, you just heard it click. This is what it looks like now to run this bolt. I mean, it is so smooth. And there's almost no difference between when it's cocked versus not cocked. So a lot of guns, if you already cocked a gun, well, shoot, the bolt runs really smooth and it's really easy to do this. But when you start doing this, then it's a big old clunk to get it cocked. With this, it is literally just smooth, no big clunk there. Pretty incredible how smooth that actually cocks and that bolt runs. I mean, it is such an improvement on the old ones. Huge, actually. So, what else? We miss anything? Guys, the ability to be able to go from like a aluminum action and be able to say, hey, I want to go shoot like a PRS match and be able to pull this off, swap the barrel, swap the bolt head, stick it in something like this hit chassis that's big, heavy, folding, fully adjustable, but spud stock on it, and to be able to do it with the exact same action and just have barrels and bolt heads you could swap around is huge. I mean, your imagination is the limit here on how you can swap things around. The other thing we should mention is this Havoc Hunter stock is going to be available for other actions down the road.
Correct. Yeah, it'll be available for
if you've got a Tikka or a Remington 700 or some other custom gun, they're going to actually make this where it's available. If you haven't seen this, it has the full M-LOK mini chassis in it. The carbon fiber mag takes an actual grip, like an AR style grip. It folds, and the folding mechanism is so tight. Fully adjustable cheek piece. And this thing is so light.
Yeah, it's extremely light.
This is the lightest version. So if you're looking for a sheep gun or some just crazy lightweight rifle, this is it. You guys test fire every single gun in-house? Every single one of them?
Every gun gets shot.
Okay. Yep. That's the new line. We're going to go take a look. I want to just show you a few things just quickly. We're not going to do a long drawn-out thing. The factory's not up and running right now because everybody's gone on Christmas break.
Yep.
Seekins is a great place to work for. They give you like couple weeks off over the holidays, so only a few people are in here today, and but we'll just have Glenn just quickly show us the major stuff. They've gotten so much bigger in just even the last 6 months, a year. I mean, they've had to just continually add on. They have an actual 100-yard test tunnel here.
Yeah,
and we can show them that. Yeah, let's just do a quick tour, but hopefully we answered your questions. If you've got other questions, drop us a comment in the comments on the video here, and we'll get on there and try and answer them, or maybe somebody from Seekins will even get on and police those a little bit if you guys have more questions that we didn't answer, or if we created issues or problems for you. But I am stoked about this new line. I can't wait to get one in at GunsAmerica where we can actually shoot it and do some testing with it, but this is a huge win.
So this is where we do all of our carbon fiber. All of it's made in-house out of raw material. Over here we have our QC area, which is one of the busier places, but QC and custom shop is all built in the QC area. So weird, nobody here. This is our assembly area. So weird, nobody being here. But all the rifles are made over here on the left. Scope rings, shipping, receiving.
It's too bad the robot wasn't running right now.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to watch. So this is our 100-yard tunnel. So we've got everything in here to reload whatever we want, test whatever we want. An automated target system that goes all the way down to the end. There's a whole other building right over there where we do all the painting and coating. It's my office right here. So this is our machine shop with nobody in it. And it's just lines of machines with the robots on them.
You make your barrels in here too, right?
Yeah.